All right, we are live. We are live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, we have made it to another wonderful Sunday. Happy Sunday, guys. It is 2 p.m., y'all. We have made it. Okay. Let's fix that. How are we doing on this wonderful Sunday? Happy Sunday, guys. Happy Sunday. Thanks for tuning in to Solution Sundays. I'm Clanisha, owner of Bliss Financial Solutions, where we specialize in credit repair and business consulting. Okay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, guys. Welcome. So each and every Sunday, we'll be here to discuss credit tips and business hacks. So every Sunday, we're here. We are here. So tune in every Sunday. We have so many different topics to talk about. This is just the beginning. Our first episode was last Sunday, so yay, we had a good time. It was a great time. So this one, we just have to top it off, right? So we just got to keep growing. So let's get into it. So our last live, we talked about how to access our credit report, and how to analyze what's on it, and a few other gems. So this time we're going to talk about credit questions that I received after our last live. So, but before we get into that, let's talk about this $10,000 cancellation that Joe Budden has just passed. So let me know if this affects you guys. So that doesn't mean that their student loans are being removed entirely, in which I know we're waiting on that, right? So we haven't gotten there yet. So this just means that Joe Biden has given us a $10,000 credit, pretty much, on our student loan debt. So you know, if you have $10,000 worth of student loan debt, then this probably will be for you. But however, it doesn't help me because I paid my student loans off. So if this was 5 or 6 years ago, then this would be beneficial for me. But it doesn't. So yeah. How much student debt do you guys have? Let's talk about that. Okay. I don't have student debt. Hey Kiki, how much student debt do you have? Are you still in school? So usually, I guess we don't have to pay back. We don't have to start paying our student debts until, I guess, 6 months after you have graduated. You have debt. Okay. No student loans, but that's good. Hey Nate, how much student loans do you have? Do you have any? It was forgiven? Your whole loan was forgiven? That's cool. So that's amazing. So that's pretty much great. But I wish I had a little. Now I want to go back to school so I can get that debt forgiven too. But that's awesome. That's amazing. So kudos to you. So let's talk about the advantages of those student debts being removed. In my company, I have a credit repair company, like I stated before. We have had success with removing student debt. Student loans. So what that means is, don't forget, like, just because it's not on your credit report does not mean that you won't ever have to pay it. So that's funded by the government. So any type of loans that you have from the government, pretty much, will always come back to you. So if it's not on your credit right now, it's just not on your credit right now. So that just means that if we have removed it, typically, sometimes, maybe, possibly, it'll come back. And then you'll have to pay those loans because, I mean, if it's not on your credit right now, then you probably can go get that loan, or you can probably go get whatever you're trying to receive from that credit increase. So, like I said, if that debt has been removed from your credit report, go get that loan. That they typically try to go get that loan. But however, sometimes it does come back because you do owe the government. But like I said, we have had success with removal of student debt. Oh, what we say? What you say, girl? Okay. Okay, so yeah, that's another. I've had clients that have went to schools that have pretty much been shut down, and those loans were forgiven. So in which Nay's case, she went to a school that was shut down, and in the middle of potential graduates. Wow, this is back in okay. So just like what was that? Rankin. So Rankin was shut down too. So some of those people who went to school and were typically about to graduate, those student debts were pretty much forgiven because they didn't finish or they lost accreditation, things like that. So that's cool. But it's kind of not good and good because, I mean, a lot of people graduated from those colleges and their credits cannot possibly transfer, so they have to pretty much start all over, which that could be such an inconvenience. So that's okay. That's not cool. But for those that are having student debt issues, feel free to contact us. We'll let you know what your options are. And we have had success stories with things that have been removed as far as student loans. Girl, we could have had these conversations. She talking about she do need my help. It's better to do it now than when you need it, okay? So, yes. So, moving forward. So, those advantages of having those debts removed, like I said, would be, it's not in your credit. So, an advantage would it's not on your credit, and your score possibly could be raised with that debt not being there. However, there are certain disadvantages of having your student loans removed because, like, we've been pretty much paying these student loans for years, right? So we have 10 plus years of that credit age. So, like, the credit age is a huge factor in our credit reporting, right? So that's a huge factor in our credit scores. So those accounts that we had a long history with paying will be pretty much removed. So with that being said, that credit age will need to be replenished. So let's just say we remove a student loan, and that was 10 plus years of an active account reporting. So when that comes off, those 10 years are removed. So it's like it never existed. So how can we establish that credit back? So that time is going to have to start all over. So we have to implement those ways of getting more accounts, implement those ways of rebuilding that credit age that we just lost. So that could be a factor. Student loans has messed you up. Okay, we're here to help all the time. So, feel free to contact me, DM me, let's do it. We can talk about your options. We can talk about what is needed to boost those scores up. We can talk about your student loan options. We can talk about how you can benefit from this situation right now. So, and there are options. You are not typically screwed up. Typically, the FBA, the student loan people can really help you out as long as you give them a phone call. So when you don't have any response to them, or if they're sending you letters and stuff like that and you don't respond, it's basically like you really don't care. So it's really best for you to contact those lenders and say, hey, I'm having a problem. I can't afford this right now. Tell them their situation. They'll pretty much work with you. So you have options. Don't just leave it hanging and avoid it. The more you avoid it, the more your credit is going to be messed up, right? So that's over us, what we help you with at Bliss Financial Solutions. Yeah, let's go. Let's do it. I'm here whenever. Okay, so we talked about those advantages and those disadvantages of having credit removal. So let's jump into those questions that we've had from the last video. So I received some questions after the live in which I wish they would have stayed, and we could have talked about this, and it would have been like more than a 40-minute video. We'd have been talking for a while. But however, we're here now. So what are the perks of good credit? So, I mean, the perks of good credit just ranges from small to where we really want to go in life. So it just ranges from how you want it to benefit your life. So credit, you have to have some type of credit to establish some great activities in your life. My phone is just going crazy right now. So yeah, so good credit perks could be low interest rates, more credit limits, could just rewards when you have a credit card, affordable rates, like the list just goes on. So there are plenty of perks in here. So a perk that I love that having good credit could be when I swipe my credit card over my debit card. So you have rewards, you have and rewards could be just so every time you swipe your card. So let's say I love Starbucks. So I go get a Starbucks coffee or whatever from Starbucks, and I swipe my credit card. You get rewards. So you get rewards for spending money. So you get money for spending money, pretty much. So that in a regular debit card would not give you those type of perks. So that's one factor of having good credit. That's good. That's a great question. So what is a credit mix? So credit mix is pretty much just different types of accounts, different types of accounts you have and how well you manage it. So a credit mix could be so many different options. But to have an overall great credit mix is what usually takes in consideration of where your scores are. Okay. What are the two types of credit that we talked about in the last video? So two types of credit could be revolving and installments. So most of our credit accounts typically fall into those two categories. So revolving could be your credit cards, your student loan, your business loans, things like that. So pretty much you have a balance that you can use. They extend an amount to you or a limit to you where you can use payback. Those are called revolving. Installments could be your auto loans, your mortgage loans, things like that. So those two accounts pretty much what we're looking for to build that credit profile. Okay. What kind of credit mix should you have? We talked about this just already. I covered two questions in one. So okay. So a credit mix you should have could be consisting of auto loans, credit cards, short-term loans, long-term loans, revolving accounts. So those are a credit mix you should have. So to build that type of credit profile that you're striving for, you need to have at least a few of those in your credit profile. And don't be scared, guys. We have to get these type of credit accounts to build those credit scores. And usually when we first start out our business, we have to use our credit, right? Sometimes we use our personal credit to access the beginning stages of those loans. Most of you may not know, but I've pretty much, I got a business loan for my food truck that I had a few years ago. I still have it. So I use my personal credit to get a business loan. So I didn't have any previous history when it came to business. So I had to use myself as a personal guarantee to say, hey, if I default on this loan, I will be making these payments. However, sometimes we have to start that route. I didn't have money. I didn't come from a background where I had the money to start my business. So I asked for help. Hey, Justine Peterson. Shout out to Justine Peterson because they got me together. But I had to use my personal credit to access those funds. So, I mean, sometimes we have to start somewhere. how is swiping your credit card better than using your regular card? Better than using a debit card? So, like I just said, using a credit card has a lot of perks. So they have airplane rewards. They have perks of food. There's a lot of perks when it comes to having great credit and using your credit card over your debit card. So, and which your credit card, your debit card really doesn't have these perks. So, I would suggest whatever you're gonna use, whatever you're gonna spend on your credit, on your debit card, just use it on your credit card, and then just pay it off. Little gem, y'all, little gem. Got y'all little gem. So yeah. That's typically that's how I go about my day-to-day, and I'm striving for perfect credit. Okay. Let's see, what other questions? Oh, so we're talking. I got a question that says, how can I spend 10% on credit cards? On my credit card. So. In my last video, I talked about how use your credit utilization. So your credit utilization, I suggest we only use no more than 10%. Most of these people are saying 30% and up. So 30% and up is still kind of high. We want some change. We want a change in those credit scores, right? That's what we're striving for. So typically, I suggest my clients to only use 10% or less in their credit card. So what that means is, like let's say we put our Netflix accounts on our credit cards. That's 10% or less. But however, we do get into situations where we do have to use those credit limits. So my suggestion would be to pay those balances back off before your due date and before your statement date. So remember those two dates: your statement date and your due date. We talked about that previously in our previous video, so feel free to go back and look at that video. So yeah, we're moving on. Any questions? Do we have any questions so far? All right, no questions yet. Yeah, come on, y'all, come on. Come on. What you need to get started? So the only thing you need to do to get started will be, you can contact me, you can DM me, you can go on my website, you can create you can go on my website and say, hey, I want to get started, in which that'll have me reach out to you to talk about your options. We can discuss a consultation, things like that. So you don't need much to get started. If you're uncomfortable with reaching out to me, then just go on my website and there's an option where you can get started, and then I'll reach out to you. So it's totally fine either way. But you can just go on blissfinancialsolutions.com, sign me and click sign me up now, or you can just DM me, or you can call my number. So let's just get started. It's better to get started now when you really don't need the credit right now, and you're working on fixing your credit until you really need it. So it's best to start now before you need credit, than when you actually need it. Then it's kind of like too late. So then we're pressing for time. We're like, how long is it going to take? And sometimes with credit repair, it depends on what's on your credit report, to say, hey, this will it'll take this amount of time. But typically the time range for credit repair can stem from 30 days to 60 days to 90 days, etc. So it just depends on what's on your credit, how these creditors respond back, how the collection bureaus respond back. So those, we have to take those in considerations when it comes to credit repair. However, credit repair is not an overnight process. So it took a while for you to mess that credit up, or make those decisions. It took a while. And sometimes it's not all bad situations. Sometimes we fall on bad terms, and we just have had some issues when it comes to life, and our credit sometimes reflect that. So I mean there's really no no issue. We always have options to fix your credit, whether it's now or later. So I wouldn't get too wrapped up in how our credit has declined, or issues we had with credit. So it's okay. There's no credit score when it comes to being a client with Bliss Financial Solutions. We accept everyone and anyone, so don't get discouraged. You can have a 300 credit score, which could be, bare minimum. You can have a 600 credit score. You can have a 700 credit score, and you have just a few items you want to be removed, or you need some just credit advice. So we're always here for you. Please feel free to DM me, contact me, call me. We are on every social media outlet. So without further ado, let's talk about these questions. We're talking. So sorry if I'm rambling a little bit, but I always have so much to say when it comes to credit. So feel free to contact me whenever you have any questions. I'm always open. Why does my score read no score? So I've had these issues before when it came to credit, when I had new clients come in. So pretty much that means that you have no credit reporting. So this could usually be after a bankruptcy, which I don't recommend. There's options. Let's not fail chapter 17, 13, 14, whatever. Let's just figure out what we can do to get that credit. Your credit options for building that credit. So typically when you see no score on there, that just means that you have nothing reported. So I mean, that could just be meaning you need to build your credit profile. So sometimes after bankruptcies, or after a credit sweep, or after anything, or you're just starting out when it comes to credit, that just means we have to establish some accounts. So credit cards, auto loans, mortgages, a collection of those. Once they start reporting, then you'll see some credit score changes. Okay, so if you do have if it does read no scores when you do find out what your credit score is, just start building. And if you have any questions on how to build those, build your credit profile, feel free to contact us. We'll help you with that. So we have so many options when it comes to credit repair with Bliss Financial Solutions. So don't get discouraged on paying $130 a month. We have so many different options to help you with establishing your credit goals. Okay, so feel free to contact us. How does closed accounts affect your credit score? So I would not suggest you close accounts. So let's just say you paid off your car. So of course it's gonna be closed eventually. So that just means you need to repair your credit. Rebuild your credit, or add another line of credit to keep that credit score going, right? So sometimes when we pay off cars or pay off loans, that typically just means that your score may or may not drop, but sometimes I do. But it doesn't have a huge effect on when you close an account. But if you want to, I would not suggest you close credit card accounts, because you need those credit ages. So like I said, I have a credit card for 7 years, and this was my first credit card with Capital One. I had bad credit previously, so I just crossed my fingers and applied. But so now we have different options where we can establish like a secure card before getting an unsecured card, right? So closing those accounts would just mean those accounts are closed. So sometimes your score will stop and it'll remain stagnant, but that just means you need to add a different account on there, and that could just be a credit card, so another revolving credit, which means that soon as you start having that new account report, that score will pretty much go back up to where it was. So I would not suggest closing accounts if you don't have to. So typically that means, if you have an auto loan, you want to pay off your auto loan early. There's no problem with paying off your accounts early, but typically you see those credit changes when almost close to the end of that cycle, to the end of your loan. So sometimes we like to add more payments. and adding another payment could just go more towards the principal. I totally get it, in which I suggest that too, because I mean, we don't always want to be in debt forever, but however, some debt is beneficial to our credit scores. So there are positive and negatives to paying off your paying off your accounts. So I would suggest, if you want to pay those accounts off early, to just release some type of burden on your debts. That's perfectly fine. But I would suggest that you, however, do just try to deal with making those payments, because that payment history will come into consideration of your credit mix and come in consideration of your credit score. They'll say, hey, yeah, she's responsible with this credit. So you won't be much of a a risk factor. Okay. Any other questions? Any questions? Hi, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Solution Sundays. Hey. Any questions? Any questions before I continue? No questions yet? Okay, we're going to move on. But feel free to chime in, socialize, say hey. Any questions you guys have, feel free to jump in. Any comments you guys have, jump in. This is Solution Sunday, so we're all for solutions, okay? So when should you settle accounts? So I'm guessing they're talking about collection accounts. So if you do have collections, we want to make sure that we stop those. We want to utilize our options before we get to those collection statuses, right? So if we're ever having issues with making payments, feel free to call your lenders. Call those lenders and say, hey, I can't make a payment. Can we change my payment amount? Can we work out something? Because having some type of communication with your lenders will help you in the long run. Just not paying or not just totally ignoring it will just cause an issue later on. And then we're looking at 30-day late payments and things like that, when we could have just called them and said, hey, I need help, or right now I'm going through something. And we always have our options, so we need to make sure that we are utilizing our options. We have so many options before we get to these collections, before we get to these negative statuses, okay? So when should you settle collections account? So you have a few options. So usually before we get to collections, or usually before it hits your credit, or sometimes during it hits your credit, there are collectors that do call you and say, hey, you can settle this amount for a specific amount, or you need to just pay this whole balance. So once you have gotten into that situation, I would suggest you have a conversation with your lenders to say, hey, I have this much to pay towards that balance. Sometimes they'll say, hey, we'll take it. Sometimes they'll say you have to pay the whole balance. But usually some of these collectors have sold them to third parties. They're not the original collectors. So usually they just want something versus nothing at all. So if you are going to pay, however, I do have to say, like, if you do pay collections, they will not help your credit. Okay, so if you are thinking about paying collections, make sure that you're talking to them and say, hey, if I pay this amount, would you guys remove this off my credit? Because like I said, it will not help if you make those payments to those collectors. Your score won't go up. It'll just say paid, and it'll still be a collection on your account that just says paid, which will not help you. Actually, it will hinder you still. So what I would suggest, another gem, y'all, I would suggest you should just say, hey, I have this much to pay, and then they'll say yes or no. So they'll give you your options, what you have. But usually if we're going to settle, I'll say, I need you guys to settle this amount in writing and say, hey, I'm selling this amount for this amount of money. Can you remove this off my credit indefinitely? They're going to say yay or nay. But usually they might say yay, because they are a collector, in which they don't have the original document. They're not the original collector. They're not the original agency. So usually they just want something. So those are when you should settle. So I would settle always, always, always. If you're gonna pay those collections, and that's worst case scenario, right? Make sure you know your options. So worst case scenario, you have to make those settlement agreements. So I will always say, hey, if I make this payment, can you remove this off my credit? So they'll say yeah or nay. Okay. Any questions? Any questions? Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. I already asked this question. I already answered this question. Will paying off collections improve your credit? No. Paying it off will not help your credit score. It will not. So, some of us are just paying off collections, and then being removed. So, consider that. Okay. Oh, here's a good question. Can the original account report on your credit as well as the sole party can both be listed on your credit report? Absolutely. So in which that's kind of like double jeopardy. But they have to list certain accounts on your credit. So for instance, let's say I owe Charter Communications. So Charter Communications could be on my credit as well as that third party that they sent my account to. So those accounts can report on your credit. Both accounts can report on your credit. However, you have options. However, you have laws against those. So feel free to contact Bliss Financial Solutions to find out what are your options. So yeah, if both of those accounts are listed, you need some help, and I'm here to help you with that. So yes, they both can be on your credit. What collections have Bliss Financial Solutions removed? So we have removed medical collections. We have removed repos. We have removed student loans. We have removed auto loans, payday loans. We have removed any kind of loans that you pretty much thought of. We have removed personal information. We have removed just a collection of things. So you have a lot of options. There are so many laws when it comes to credit repair that we are not knowledgeable of. So a part of Bliss Financial Solutions, that's why we started, because I've always wanted to make sure that I tell everyone around me, and I give everyone that knowledge of what credit laws that we have to our advantage. And there is so much information out here that we need to know about credit, that all these credit bureaus and credit accounts and these collectors are using to their advantage because of us not having that knowledge. So that's always been my goal, to just make sure I'm changing people's lives when it comes to credit, giving them that type of information that did you know this, did you know that, because we all need to know our credit laws. We all need to know that we have options where we don't have to pay high interest rates. We don't have to worry about our credit, as long as we know the foundation, know the fundamentals when it comes to credit and our credit laws. So always reach out to those that are knowledgeable when it comes to credit. Bliss Financial Solutions strive in that. So I'm big on trying to change people's lives. You'll be amazed on how a 400 credit score helps. Going from a 400 credit score to a 650 credit score, how life-changing those scores can be. There are so many perks when it comes to great credit. Sometimes, it's usually the more credit that you have, the more responsible they feel that you are, which kind of sounds a little crazy, but honestly, that's just how we establish that we are responsible on paper, right? So not only are we responsible when it comes, we show that we are somewhat responsible when it comes to our credit age, our credit history, our income, things like that. But that's just another way that we can show those lenders that we are responsible if we are needing some type of credit. Some people are so scared of getting those credit limits, but it's just, how we work that credit health, right? So we always practice that credit health because just in case we don't have the money right now, so we have this credit limit that we can always use and pay back because some things may be tied up. But I mean, it goes into consideration when it comes to overall credit health, when it comes to business, when it comes to anything that we want to do in life, pretty much. There is just so many advantages of having good credit that we are striving for. So don't feel bad on having bad credit, as long as you're working towards a better credit. So that's where Bliss Financial Solutions came into play. Okay, because we're striving to a blissful journey to great credit, right? That's what we do. There's no score requirements when it comes to being a client for Bliss Financial Solutions. We do not turn anyone down who needs credit advice, credit help. Yeah, we are here to help you guys. So feel free to always contact us. Yeah. So I'm going to open the floor to anybody who has any other additional questions. Any other additional questions? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I hope this video has been very helpful to you guys. We will be here each and every Sunday, okay, with these credit tips and these business hacks. Any other questions? Okay, none so far. So let's talk a little just about business. Okay, I know you guys have been waiting on this for a long time. So a few credit tips that I suggest, a few business tips that I suggest would be: one, make sure that you are incorporated. Make sure you are legally authorized to do business, right? So make sure you have your LLC, your EIN. Let's make sure you have your Duns and Bradstreet numbers. Let's make sure that you are having a bank account. You're not commingling, okay? So those are the tips that I want to discuss today. So let's just make sure that we are making sure we are dotting our I's and crossing our T's when it comes to our fundamentals and our basics of our foundation of starting our business out. So let's make sure we have those things. So if you guys have any other questions, I'm gonna dab into moving forward. So when it comes to business, as you guys know, I started off with a food truck. So that just means it was not an easy journey. Okay, so I started off with little to no money. I got a business loan. I started building outside of my job, but I made sure that I was making sure that I was building that revenue when it came to my bank statements and things like that. So, but I made sure that I had my EIN, my LLC. I made sure that I was legally authorized to have some type of authorization to be in business, right? So if you guys have any questions when it comes to business, please feel free to contact me or comment below. So those are the tips and tricks that I wanted to talk about today when it came to business and credit. So without further ado, we're gonna, hey guys, hey, you guys are here. What's going on? Okay. So those are the tips and tricks I wanted to discuss today. I'm going to head out of here, and we will be here next Sunday at 2 p.m. So feel free to contact me. Contact my credit repair company where we specialize in credit repair and business consulting, okay? So Bliss Financial Solutions, Feel free to contact us at 800-784-1334. DM us. Find us on Instagram. Find us on Facebook, all your social media platforms, we are there. So I'm going to head up out of here, guys. And it's been amazing. I appreciate you guys for joining in to Solution Sundays. I'm going to head on out. We will be here next Sunday for more tips and tricks and business hacks, okay? So, guys, join me next Sunday. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.